live now.
Hello.
Hey, cuz, how are you?
Good, thanks, Kaz. How are you?
Yeah, good. Uh, Welcome back to Indie Faith Podcast. We are on episode 34, and you're here with Jules and Mary. Uh, we're laughing because I said, and we are live, looked at the screen, and there was a countdown. So,
It all just froze. I was like, oh no.
um, how are you, cuz? How has your long break been since the last time we recorded?
It's been eventful. I think just really busy. I can't believe how busy it got. Like
Yeah.
that's why the topic today, like I'm just really excited because it's very fitting.
Yeah.
Very fitting for me today. So I'm really excited about that. But I've been good. I've been really good. Baby's good. But yeah, how about you, Kaz? How are you going?
Yeah, good. I'm actually sick now. How are you? Because you were sick last 2 weeks with
Yeah,
COVID.
it sucked, man. Like, I'm gonna be honest. You know, when people would say they're sick, with COVID, I used to be
Yeah.
like, "Can't be that bad." And then I had it.
Yeah.
And I was like, "It's pretty bad." It's pretty bad. And then like I was telling my friends that, and then they're like, "Dude, people died," and I'm like, "Oh yeah."
Damn.
So they were trying to explain like it is quite serious. You know, it's COVID. Like some people get really, really sick. Others might not get as sick, but yeah, it wasn't. Have you gotten it yet, Cuz?
No.
Okay.
No, I haven't.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I've been blessed. Um, all right. So we've switched up our podcast and our segments before. We were trialing it, and yeah, it kind of fizzled out at the end there. So now we've just got two segments. So our first segment is the pop topic.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're on Instagram or Facebook, you would have seen our stories. So today's pop topic is Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial. Have you heard much about that?
Well, you know how, because I'm always on Instagram, so I started seeing
Mm,
reels and everything.
yeah,
Like I heard back when it first started, you know, when she first came out with the accusations and everything.
yeah,
Like it was way back. Like the trial was only just started now, but I remember first hearing about
mm,
the accusations, and I was like, because I had never heard of anything like that before, like with Johnny Depp. I was like, nah,
yeah,
that's. I was already a bit skeptical of what she was saying because I was like, I haven't heard this. Like usually it's like someone repeatedly doing this sort of thing to other women, or like or more women would come out and stuff like that. So I've only seen or heard, that was the first time I heard about it, but now it's like everywhere.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, it's everywhere. So I've heard about it and I've been looking it up on YouTube and stuff. So it's been pretty interesting. What about you, Kaz? Have you
yeah.
seen it too?
I've been keeping up to date with the trial, but I think the trial before, so the court case before, I think years ago, was Johnny Depp versus I think the magazine that posted, that he abused
Oh, the
Amber
article
Heard,
that she went to.
and then now, yeah,
Yeah.
and then now he's suing Amber Heard for defamation. And then now she's countersuing. Yeah, I don't know. It's such a bizarre trial. Like,
It's so weird. Like when I
yeah,
listen to stuff, I'm like,
yeah, like Amber Heard's lawyers, they're as wacko as she is.
I don't know if they did it because obviously it's such a public type of trial. Like it's so
Mm,
massive and it's a celebrity. So I don't know if that's why they just. But yeah, when I listen to their questions and their objections,
I know. Eh? Yeah, so she's for anyone that hasn't heard of the trial, so she's accused Johnny Depp of abusing her. She's even come out with photos that she's got bruises and swelling and all that. And I think this has gone on for years, and then now he's suing her because like his whole reputation has been damaged by the article that she put up. accusing him, and it's affected his family as well. And he claims that he's never touched her.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, and he's actually come out with photos that show his bruises and cuts and everything. But so far, I'm not sure if the trial's ended yet, but he's had so many witnesses.
Yeah.
Basically, it's been like validated that, well, to anyone who's watching, it just proves that yeah,
It's annoying.
she's made shit up, yeah. And anyways, I was thinking about this trial, and I was thinking, what if it was like what are your thoughts on women abusing men?
Um,
Just say that this comes out and he is innocent and she's guilty of abusing him. What are your thoughts on that, like in general?
I think it goes. I think what frustrates me as a woman um is that how we're super big on equal rights, and we should get the same rights as men and be treated the same as men.
Mm.
But when it comes to
Yeah.
situations like this or circumstances like this, it's really like downplayed for the guys. Um, like
Yeah.
women abusing men, no one takes it as seriously as when a man abuses a woman. And I think
Mm.
that's what my issue was with this whole thing, because I think a lot of people were already, even Disney, how they already um, just assumed he was guilty, and he wasn't able to do certain movies anymore. I think
Yeah.
I think he has a right to sort of sue her because he has like
Mm.
damaged his reputation. And but yeah, but in today's society, I think I'm super big on it's equal for both. So if a
Yeah.
guy can go to jail for abusing his wife or for beating up his wife or for whatever, it goes the same for a woman. Just because she's not as physically strong,
Mm.
like stronger than the guy, it still doesn't give her the right to
Yeah.
put hands on a guy. But that's just what I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah,
agree. I 100% agree. Like I think with the sorry to say, but I think with the Me Too movement, um, there are I've noticed that there have been a few women take advantage of that
yeah,
movement. Like I'm not saying that there isn't actual domestic violence against women. Um, like that's a like definite real thing, but I think there are some women out there that are using and abusing that movement and just to get what they want.
absolutely.
And yeah, and like it's just freaking
Yeah,
hypocritical. Like, but like that, like in this case, like what you said, like straight away men would be
yeah,
arrested,
mm-hmm,
and in this case, like yeah, she might lose if she loses the case, she loses money, but I didn't hear that she's going to be
yeah,
arrested for abusing him.
mm-hmm,
She's like throwing a vodka bottle that's cut his
yeah,
finger. She's punched him, pulled his hair, everything. Had that been
mm-hmm,
reversed, man, straight jail for
yeah,
men. But women for some reason can get away with that.
yeah. It was exactly like when
Um,
Chris Brown, how
but
Chris Brown beat up Rihanna, and that blew up.
mm,
Like he got super punished for what he did. Like I still listen to his music and
oh
everything, but
yeah,
if you think about it now, she's just blown up, and he sort of, after that happened, he's not as popular as he once was. Like people don't
yeah,
follow him as sort of as hard as they did before. So I think that's so.
I know,
It's like for
yeah,
me, that's a prime example of how, oh yeah, when a guy does it, this is how badly they get punished. But when a girl does it, it's so low
mm,
key, it's so um, downplayed, and so they make it seem so
yeah,
minuscule when it's not even.
yeah, yeah. I reckon, and what do you call it? She still got Aquaman too.
Yeah, that's so weird. I was like, how?
Yeah, I know.
Like he couldn't do Fantastic Beasts
um,
anymore, but she still gets to do Aquaman too.
yeah. What are your thoughts on if they were if this was a case and they were both Samoan or Islander?
When you asked, how you sent me your notes, Like I was already
Yeah.
like loving the topics and everything, and then I saw, what if it was reversed, or what if it was Samoan, and I just could not stop laughing because I was like, I don't know. I think with Samoan families, we're a lot different to I guess the Bali side, and especially because they're so mainstream and they're so public and they're so they're celebrities. But with Samoans, it's really unfortunate because I don't hear about it as much as I hear, when men abuse the women.
Mm.
Like that's just what I think. Like growing up, I would hear a lot more stories of men abusing the women. But there are cases where Samoan women put hands on their men.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
they do, and I think it's so funny because you know how just as dramatic as it is with other cultures, we are very what's the word? Very out there with our I don't know if it's exaggerating a little bit, like, we had to do it because, he did this um or he did this to me and I
Mhm.
had to retaliate and do this. Um but I still
Yeah.
think it's the same. It's just as bad as if a man had done it to a woman. I still think,
Yeah.
regardless of what gender you are and what nationality you are, it's still not good.
Yeah. I've noticed that trend though over time
Mm,
that back in the day it was, the domestic violence you always heard it was, men abusing the
yeah,
women. And that was like a real thing. And then in this day and age it's
yeah,
reversed. I'm hearing a lot of women abusing men, and say with like even Samoans, like, and I could speak for Samoans because I'm Samoan, and what I
yeah,
see in the Samoan community is like, back in the day, like you said, when we were younger, like you saw a lot of it was like the man was the head of the
yeah.
house and he could do whatever he want. And and I did see a lot of
Mm,
that, them fussing their wives. But now I see a lot of women sort of um I don't know, they're a lot more masculine
yeah.
now.
And I think they have a lot more
Like,
confidence to do it now. Mm,
yeah, yeah, like I don't know what's kind of shifted over time, but maybe because of movements like Me Too, that people are now bringing all of that to light. And now women are sort of a lot more like it's safer for them to come out and say that they've been abused by men. So they're getting punished a lot more, whereas back then they would just throw it under the rug kind of
mm,
thing. So now, I think that confidence in that, they feel safe to come out. Um, it has maybe that's changed it, but yeah, I see a lot of women sort of tell their someone women sort of tell off their husband,
yeah,
or the kids are more scared of their
yeah.
mom than they are of their dad, and the dad's like, um, yeah. So even like TikTok videos making fun of it and
Yeah.
that, like, um, what's that guy? Him and his daughter, all his life.
Oh,
All
yes.
his life? Is that,
Yeah.
yeah, you know how he makes jokes like, he's always
Yeah.
scared of his missus? Yeah, it's
So
like
that's
that kind of stuff.
yeah.
You see a lot of that now.
I'm gonna tell mom, and then he's like, "Oh, she's joking."
Yeah. So like that dynamic is like I've noticed a shift in these days, like that yeah, men are more afraid of women now.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you're right, Kaz. I don't know if it's with our generation because I know the generation before us, it was like a lot of the women does what their husbands tell them to do, like they listen
Mm.
and sort of obey what their husbands tell them and do whatever they're told. But I
Yeah.
think our generation now, especially the girls, there's a lot more, like I said, confidence, and they have a lot more courage to not be as scared, I suppose, to
Mm.
talk to their husbands a certain way, to be super stern, to be super upfront. Um, but it doesn't. I still don't think it's because I've seen girls who are like that, but
Yeah.
then you so know that behind closed doors. they put hands on their partners.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I don't know. I don't think that's. I'm glad us as women are able to come forward more, and um, not hide away from these sorts of topics. And if we have something to say now, we say it. But
Yeah.
I think it doesn't mean, like you said, the Me Too movement. People are
Mm.
taking advantage of, I would say, our rights now as women.
Mm.
Just because we're women doesn't mean that we do the bad things that men used to do too. Like I don't,
Yeah.
like that. I
Yeah.
don't know.
100%. Yeah. Um. Oh, I had this thought as well. Um. Like I'll put it on the table there. There was one time where I was Rob and I had a fight,
Yeah,
and I had thrown a phone at his head,
yeah,
and it was a really ugly fight. But
mm,
he said to me, like, and now I'm guilty of that, and
yeah,
what he said to me on that day kind of stuck with me for the rest the rest of our relationship, and it just never ever happened again after that.
yeah,
But he was is actually so like he came up to my face and he said, it's unfair, like, that you can do that to me. Like,
mm,
I could do that to you, but like, I won't. But
yeah,
for you to do that to me is so unfair.
mm,
Um, yeah, like I'm paraphrasing, but yeah, it was a lot
yeah,
deeper than that, and he was very emotional, and I was like, yeah, nah, that was really really toxic.
yeah,
But yeah, I think because, like, just being honest, I think because of how these days, like, um women can get away with it, um that might be like that definitely played a big reason why, like, it was so easy for me to just throw something at
mm,
him.
yeah.
But yeah, had it been the
I
other
don't
way
think
around, oh, like,
yeah.
it would have,
I don't
yeah.
think you're the only one who's done that, because like I'm guilty of it too. Like it's not one of my proud moments where you get that angry that you throw something at that person, and it dongs them on the head, or whatever. Um,
Mm,
I think as long as we acknowledge that, and make sure it doesn't happen again, like you said,
yeah.
then that's, I guess it's growth. We know it's not right. Deep down, we know it's not right. Like you said, if it
Yeah.
was the other way around, like we'd call each other. We'd be like, "He put hands on me."
Yeah.
You know
Mm,
what I mean? So I think you're right in that sense where if it was the other way around, it would be totally different.
yeah.
Um, but at least we know moving forward we can't do that, man. Like we just
Yeah.
can't do it.
Yeah. That was yeah, that was I think that was something that was I felt really important to sort of just tackle today,
Yeah.
um because I'm finding that, in general, there's a lot of that happening, and
Mm,
contributes to a lot of, reasons why sort of men and their mental health situations these days are so much worse than, back in the day.
yeah.
um and yeah, and that, like, sort of just to put it out there, that it's just equally as wrong
Mm,
if a woman was to abuse a man than it is, for a man to abuse a woman.
absolutely.
um
That's not you.
all right. um all
Are you
right,
still
so
watching the trial on that, sir?
sorry.
Have you still been watching the trial? I was watching it just before, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't know if it's finished now, but yeah, like some of the, the other thing that she was doing was throughout their relationship, she used to record him secretly, and that's where all these, like, audio recordings, video recordings are coming out. And it's just disgusting. Like, you could tell somebody's like that toxic enough to, hit record and then
Yeah.
hide the phone, and then it's as if you're not going to antagonize the person because now you're
Hmm.
you're recording, so you need
Yeah.
something. Yeah. Ugh,
And she just
she's
gaslights
just.
him. She's like, the whole audio stuff, I'm just like, it sounds like you just keep poking him, keep poking him. He tries to leave, and then you
Yeah.
get all like, don't leave me. You're causing me so much stress. And I was like,
Yeah.
he's trying to leave.
And there was she put a restraining order on him as well.
Mhm.
But then she goes to him at his hotel, um, walks into the bathroom. I don't even know how the hell she managed to get in the room.
Yeah.
But apparently the poor guy's showering and she's like walking in there and asking for a hug.
What's the behavior, man? Like, imagine walking in and they're showering and she's like, give me a hug. But you just look. But yeah, man.
I know. And then she was like crying and saying how she just wanted to hug him and she missed him and yeah, and
You put
hug
a restraining order
goodbye.
on him. That's how you
It's
know
like,
she's not
get
already
out.
something wrong with her. Like, there's something mentally, like,
Oh yeah. They did have a psychologist, I think. On the witness stand, and she said something about her mental health.
yeah.
Um, something about I don't know what the terms are, but yeah, she's definitely got something wrong with her.
Yeah. I thought it was like multiple personalities or something. And I was like, that sounds about
Yeah, yeah, she's such a weirdo. The fact that she was with Elon Musk as well. uh, how was that? Elon just bought Twitter.
I saw that and I was like, man, like imagine being that
How
rich
long?
by Twitter.
I know way.
I was like, that's nice.
I've had to just having that much money is like, oh, I don't like this post. Like, I'll just buy the whole thing. He said he was gonna buy Coca Cola as well or something.
Oh my
I don't know if that
gosh.
was a joke, but he said, yeah, we're gonna buy it and put go back to the olden days where they used to put cocaine in Coca
Oh
Cola.
yeah, I saw that.
And then I saw some of the comments and they were like, "Oh, we're a third world country and that. Can you can you give us some money to buy Twitter and Coca Cola? But there's people starving."
Was that person Samoan or Gallifrey?
Yeah, say Elon. um,
But nah, good
yeah.
topic. I was really happy when you came at me with that topic because I was like, that's a good topic.
Yeah, definitely something that needs to be raised with our women, like,
Yeah,
and coming from a women like you said, from women like you
yeah.
said. um yeah, it's not right. um I did a poll to see who what people thought who will win, Johnny Depp or Amber Heard, and seven, there was zero for Amber Heard
Yeah.
and there was seven for Johnny Depp, so um make that nine with us too.
Yeah.
Poor guy. Oh, actually, that was another thing I wanted to raise is that, do you find that women these days are they're selective with the men that they pick in relationship? Like, if I'm fine, like, I don't know, it's just my opinion, but I'm finding that a lot of women are looking for men that are sort of appear weaker. Like, for
Wow.
example, like in this case, Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, like,
Yeah.
he does seem like that kind of,
Like more
fragile.
yeah.
Yeah, and the age gap between them two as well. Um, and then even like just like being with Elon Musk, he doesn't seem like somebody who is very, like, what's the word?
Like dominant.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Um,
I don't know um if that's what women are choosing to go for these days. I think you might be right. So it's that they can easily manipulate a guy, and especially a guy of like that stature and has that much money. And I
mm,
do notice a lot of girls my age who are single go for a specific type.
yeah.
So most of the qualities, they obviously want someone who works, has a stable job, has their own property or owns their own home, and all of this other stuff. And I think you are right where they're gravitating towards guys who aren't as stern as another guy.
Mm.
But I think it's just those types of girls. I'm trying to think of a nice way of saying that.
Just say, cuz. Just say it. What is
I
it?
think
Raging
those types of
Swingers.
girls are just, obviously looking for sugar daddies and, um, you know, uh, someone who can take care of them. And I think that's what I dislike most. It gives us women a bad name where,
Mm.
we as women, like, what can we offer? Like, we're, too focused on what the guy can give us, what the guy can offer us, how they can take care of us, how they can provide for us. But if you can't do
Yeah.
that on your own as a woman, you shouldn't be looking for a man. You should be looking for a
Yeah.
job. Like, that's just what I think. You should be looking for, find
100%.
yourself, find, something that makes you happy and keeps you grounded, and you're focused on yourself, and growing within yourself, rather than trying to latch
Mm.
onto a man and then abuse the man and then take advantage of the man. Because I swear it shits me so bad, because if it was the other way around, it would be all over the news. It would be all over, every freaking
Mm.
post, every story, every reel.
Yeah.
He did this to her, he did this to her, he did this to her. But with women, it's like, oh, she's more fragile. She's, weaker than a man. She's, well, you weren't saying that with the
Mm.
Me Too movement. You weren't saying that with this, equal rights movement. You weren't
Yeah.
saying that when you were at this rally or when you were at this, Um, so yeah, that's just what I think you are right, because where there are women out there who are targeting weaker men, but we won't mention names because.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
Yeah,
just
I
what do
think
you
so.
think? Is that what you see? You noticed that?
Yeah, yeah. I'm noticing that a lot, like, and it ties in with why women sort of feel a lot more confident to lay hands on men as well. Um,
Yeah,
a lot of, like, even, and it's not even just like celebrities. You see it in everyday, like you said, women around us, like in everyday life, and that when they're looking for a man, they have all these sort of, like, you know, like a checklist of things
yeah,
that they expect in the man, and it's a lot of, I'm seeing a lot of you know being with them to fulfill whatever shit void that they're missing in their lives. And
yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's just disgusting. Like, um
Of course it is.
yeah, yeah, like, I mean, being, like, as somebody who's been in a long-term relationship, like me and Rob, we've, like, gone through how many ups and downs. And, like, it's not until probably, I don't know, over 10 years later that we finally, found that common ground. And that, like,
Yeah,
um there's no one that's stronger than the other one. There's no one that's, like, weaker. We're both sort of at equal grounds. And I think that's because recently we've both fixed ourselves. um
yeah,
so we haven't sort of um felt like, I don't know, like we've filled that void individually, that now we kind of sort of work really good as a team. um
yeah.
Yeah, whereas
That's awesome,
like
Kaz.
these days, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of that, especially when there's some women who flick through Tinder and stuff. And it's like, I don't know if that's like the qualification as well, to see if they have a lot of money and if they look weak.
Yeah,
But I find
yeah.
that,
Like,
yeah, I find that energy shift where women are becoming a lot more masculine now, and men are
mm,
becoming a lot more feminine,
yeah.
which isn't a bad thing. I mean, like,
I don't think it's a bad thing at all, as long as everyone treats everyone like equal,
yeah,
and treats them quiet and treats them well and respects one another. That's completely fine if that's how like someone's relationship dynamic works. That's all
yeah,
good. But obviously, if one's not happy with it and you are, then it's not really working.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Have justice for Johnny Depp.
Yeah, man. I'm supporting him. I don't care if anyone comes for me, man.
Yeah.
I've been seeing other women and stuff like, she's the abused, and I'm like, no, she is. Have you heard the
Yeah.
recordings?
I mean, it's like,
I didn't punch you, Johnny. I just hit you.
I know, wait, what is that? But yeah.
I was like, okay, that means you're innocent.
I just
Oh,
tickled you. She should have said that.
yeah. I was just trying to give you a hug.
Oh, what about that? I think it was 2 days ago. Um, she walked out of the court, and there were how they had the media people outside, and you just hear this one lady at the back, and she's like, um, "Why did you poop in his bed? Why did you?"
I
She
saw
was
that
so
one and I was like,
yeah,
yeah.
she was so passionate though, like. Like she was so hurt. Why did you? The
How
disgrace!
dare
How
you?
dare you?
How dare you?
Yeah, that's where the name Amber Turd came from. So, all
I was
right,
like, well, you wanted to ruin someone's life.
mm. All right. We'll move on to our main topic. So this one's another deep one. How to get out of a rut. So, but like a rut is like when you're um deep in a bad situation where you're um depressed, going through anxiety,
Yeah.
etc., and you just feel like there's no one that can save you, there's no one that you can't
Mm,
get out of that. um so like what I'm noticing with a lot of our youth especially is that they get caught up in these situations, and they don't um sort of feel like anyone, they don't reach out for someone to help them.
mm,
They just sort of
yeah.
suffer alone, and they just dig themselves deeper and deeper. um
Yeah.
yeah, so with my experience, there was a year where I was just so miserable in my job. And I think I've mentioned it before, where it was like, you're stuck in a job that you can't stand. At that time, I just had Brody, and it was like
Yeah.
it was hard to find a babysitter at that time. Um, so I had my little brother look after him. I think it was about, he just finished high school, I think. So he was inexperienced. He's never really looked after anyone before. But yeah, so it was like that. Um, every chance I get, I had to call him, make sure Brody was okay and all of that. And then at the same time, we were also living with family. Um,
Yeah.
so it was like, as much as I love my family, you just never had that sort of privacy within, just your own little family. So that was like also, just piling up. Um, and then I think Rob went from a full time job to casual as well around that time.
Yeah.
And then uh, we had a whole bunch of family dramas as well around that period. And then also in that period, I resigned.
Yeah.
um, so like yeah, and then uh, when I resigned, a couple of days later, we got an email that we were getting kicked out of our house as well, and
Mm,
that wasn't just me and my little family, that was the whole family. And at that time as well, I was the one that was organizing, like I was pretty much um looking after the finances and making sure that bills were paid and that. So um yeah, it was like, it was also on my shoulders to look for um you know,
A new home.
yeah, yeah. So it was just like everything, like just piling up at that time, and I just felt
Yeah.
like I remember there was this one night or one day where I couldn't get out of bed, like I legit
Mm,
like couldn't move, and um, like Rob would come in with Brody, and he'd like as much as like I love my son with all my heart, even like having him in the room, I just didn't have the energy to get up and sort of love him like I should, play with him and that. I was just so out of it, and
yeah.
Rob was like, um I think we were both at like that sort of last straw. Like he didn't know what to do, I didn't know what to do. um and then he was like, yeah, you need to see a counselor. And then around then I was diagnosed with high depression and high anxiety. And yeah, it was a year that was like, I honestly
It's
did
very
not
hard
see
for you.
myself. Yeah, I could not
Yeah.
see myself get out of that. And because I was like, the one that was organizing everything, I was the one that everybody relied on. It felt like I just had no one like that I could turn to. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, like I could not see the light at the end of that tunnel.
I
But
live in the tunnel. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, that was my experience of a time when I was stuck in a rut. Um,
Yeah.
do you have any specific like moments where you um just thought that there was just no one around that could help you?
Um. Well, I think a specific time will be like the most recent, which is like you already know, 'cause so I've gone through a separation um from my kid's dad, and then from there having to sort of part ways, but find my own place
Yeah,
with my baby, and then trying to balance taking her to school and work full time.
yeah,
Like it's been difficult to
yeah,
say the least. It's like I think my rut was that sort of period where it was really difficult and it was really stressful, and I felt like, oh my gosh, like, and it just kept piling, because then like I when I would reach out to people and let them know, hey, I need to find a place. And I was getting, when you apply for places and you get rejected,
yeah,
left, right, and center, and you're just like, there is no end
yeah,
to this like rejection. Like, can someone just like throw me a bone? Can you just like just give me one win? If you give
yeah.
me one win, I will. So it was trying to find a place, trying to deal with baby who's 5, and trying to explain to her all the changes that's happening, and then putting her into school, and then me trying to balance taking her to school and working has
Mm,
been really stressful.
yeah,
So I think that's for me. I don't feel like I'm in it now, as much as I was in it previously,
yeah.
where I was stuck in this ride, and feeling really down and very stressed out and very depressed, and super anxious and very snappy, and stuff like that. So that I think that's a specific time that I can think of that was the most recent,
Mm,
where it just, yeah, you just feel like you're getting pounded like
yeah,
in all directions, and until, yeah, but yeah, so that's my most recent, because
yeah. And how did you get yourself out of out of a rut, or out of that
I
rut, or
think,
whichever?
yeah, I think what I'm learning right now is I think my biggest enemy is myself.
Mm,
Like, how sometimes you think, I know there's times where I feel like I'm alone.
yeah,
I know I'm not. Like, I could go to my siblings, my mom, my friends, my tight close friends, my cousins. I can go to people, but I think mentally my biggest enemy is me, because I'm so full of doubt, so full of, I get into these really negative mindsets sometimes,
yeah,
um where I just keep telling myself like, you're failing as a mom, you're failing as, you know, a worker, you're failing as, you know, a provider. You get into this really dark sort of hole.
Yeah.
Um, but I think, like I said before, I always know it's not gonna last. I think that's what I tell myself, even when I'm that sad and that depressed and that angry. I always know it's temporary.
Yeah.
So I think I have to just surrender to it sometimes. Just surrender to things not going the way I want them to go.
Mm.
Like as soon as you do that, I think that's when I'm just like, well, I just have to take it as it comes. I just have to deal with whatever I get. And I think what also helps me is just being grateful for what I do
Yeah.
have. I think I spend a lot of time being like, you know, this person's got this and this person's got that. But if you step back a little bit and you know take a minute to look at what you actually do have,
Mm.
you would see that you have a lot more than someone else. And I think that's for me, you know, there's always someone who's got it a lot harder than me, or you know, it's worse off for them. And you know, I shouldn't be this ungrateful when you know I do have a lot going for myself. I do have a lot to live for. I do have,
Mm.
you know, a roof over my head. You know, I've got a job. I've got babies taken care of. We have heaps of support and stuff like that. So I think that's, I have to, like I said, surrender to the stuff that I'm not happy with
Yeah.
and that I can't control. And then I have to just let each day come and just take it.
Yeah.
What about you, Kaz?
What do you? Sorry. What do you mean by take it?
Um, so you know how you know you're getting rejected from. I think the biggest one for me recently was getting rejected from you know real estates and not getting a home and having to have to sort out with you know other alternatives with moving out and try to explain to my baby we're going to be moving in with these people because mummy keeps getting rejected, and then you know you find out that can't actually happen, so you go to another option and then you explain it to your kid again, and then you and then you just have no other options. um, and I think I talked to you about it too a lot during that period. I was just like, oh my god, the stress.
Yeah.
The stress of it all. And then you told me, you know, there's always going to be other alternatives. It might not be the one that you want, um, but it is an option. So at least you do have options. You know, you're not going to be homeless. You're not going to be, you know, on the street. You're going to be okay, whether or not you get a place or not, or it's what you actually want. You're going to
Yeah.
be okay. And I think taking on that advice and then taking each day as it comes, I was like, okay, today, you know, I might not get a house, but I'll sort out another plan, like a plan B. You kept saying there's plan
Mm.
Bs, plan Cs, so many different plans. You go back to plan A and then you're like, oh no, we'll go back to plan B now. So I think, like you said, as long as you have other options and it might not be what you want, but you're going to be okay at the end of the day. So I think
Mm.
that's what I mean by take each day as it comes.
Yeah.
Be grateful for what you do get. And then eventually, when I did that, as soon as I did that, that's when I called you and I was like, I got a place.
Yeah. That was so amazing, and that was
Yeah.
like it was almost like freakishly yeah, freakishly amazing, just the coincidence and everything, and how
Yeah.
everything ended up like aligning for you. And
Yeah.
that was really cool. Like
Like I said, another, like, you know, how you said, how do you get out of a rut? Another one is like being in contact with your closest circle.
mm,
Especially when you need to talk to someone, man. You need to
yeah.
tell someone, you need to keep someone in the loop, because it's too heavy,
Yeah.
on the one person. You can't carry it alone. And I'm not saying that person's going to be able to solve all your problems or find you a place, but as long as you're talking to someone and they just give you that sort of nudge that you need,
Yeah.
it's enough for you to like keep pushing
Yeah.
forward. So thanks, guys.
That's amazing, cuz you did really well.
Oh, you did really well. I think it was because of your advice about what happened with you and your house hunting. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna listen to you.
um I think for me there was that time when I got like the breaking, well, after everything that I went through in the, you know, what I was explaining before, how I was in a
Yeah,
rut, the thing that snapped me out of it was when I got diagnosed. And
yeah,
when they said that, okay, you got high depression, high anxiety, and then they were looking at, all this other stuff that, I should take, I should do, and blah blah. And it was I don't know, something about the reality of that scared me.
Yeah.
And then I came downstairs, and I sat outside because I was waiting for a lift, and it was like, it was dark, and it was cloudy, and um something about that just really hit me deep. And I don't know if it was because, a lot of our family sort of are in that, situation where they're um you could just see that they're depressed, and you can see how miserable they are, and that. And like, for me, it was just like a flash of looking at that, their life.
Yeah.
And then I was like, do I want to go down that rabbit hole? And seeing how they are now, I love them to death. But where you see that, see what their life is like now, and they're older, um, it scared me. And I was like, if I was to go and believe that, yes, I have high depression, high anxiety, and I fall into that sort of trap of just keep thinking that, just keeping that mentality,
Yeah.
um, and not do something about it. Um, yeah, I just seen my life like that, and I didn't want that. So I was like, that day, I was like, nah, it's either that, I go down that rabbit hole and be like, the rest of, be like, you know, previous generations, be like, people in our family, or, I find a different route and
Yeah.
then do something completely opposite. And it was when I decided that I'm going to do something completely opposite, honest, I'm not even lying, the sun came out. It just came out through the clouds. I was like, oh, yes.
Oh,
I
that's
was
so
like,
cute.
I took that sign. I definitely
Yeah.
took that sign.
Yeah. It was a sign though.
um, yeah. And then, yeah, through that, I went home, sort of took it in. And then, I think, the next day I was on my way to work. And then, on the train, I just started looking up randomly. I think I mentioned this before, where I just randomly look up motivational videos,
Yeah.
and it was going through that. It was just like a domino effect after that, and then I got introduced to, the law of attraction,
Hmm.
and things that keep you, like the power of positivity and all that. And then, yeah, it just, like, to this day, it's completely done a 180 in my life.
Yeah.
um
It really
but
has been one idea and
that was,
it's so different.
yeah, like that was the journey that I took. And I'm actually noticing, I honestly thought I was the only one that, was aware of that, like, law of attraction and all of that. But I'm actually seeing, like, now, a lot of islanders that are actually open about, their journey as well. Is similar to my one.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how you've seen that the shift in them as well, with those practices and those techniques, and how it sort of elevated them to a completely different level. You've had, like, people who are, in prison or in gangs, and
Yeah.
just those, using those techniques and that, from, those practices, it's just changed them.
Yeah.
And now they're like, I've seen now, there was one that's now an entrepreneur. um Others that have, gotten into, like, other arts, like creative arts, that sort of, get them into, you know something more positive rather than negative.
Yeah.
Because there's two routes that, you go to when you're in a rut, and
Hmm.
that's either negative or positive.
Yeah.
um and I think it's like a lot of, our youth, and that, like, I can understand why somebody who's in that situation, and the, would turn to gangs, would turn to, something negative, a negative outlet.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was kind of my journey, and it was a like going through all of that was then a domino effect to prioritize my mind. So
Yeah.
my body might not be
Right.
my body might not be a priority, but my mind, like ever since I focused on that, like
Yeah.
my confidence, regardless of how I look, it's
Yeah.
just like been the best thing that's ever happened.
No, it shines, cuz like you're full shining and glowing these days. Like I know we joke about, or you joke about it, like when you text me like, oh, my body hasn't changed, but my mind my mind is but no, you're full on glowing, and I love that for you. Like you're killing it, and I just think like you're a prime example of how people can get out of a rut.
Mm,
What would you say to
yeah.
like, others who feel like that though? Because like, what would you say to others who feel like they're stuck in a rut and they have no hope and no one to turn to, or just yeah,
Mm, yeah. It's it's hard because like we both know that we've given that advice to people in our circle,
mm,
and it's like you can only give so much advice,
yeah,
and they don't, like, it's up to them whether they take it or not. But mine's always been the same, as like, I think that, you know perception is such a big thing, and sometimes can be so simple that, if you look at, exactly like you said, gratitude, be grateful for what you do have,
yeah,
um and like just shifting that kind of energy to from something like, um negative to like to a positive feeling. That little step actually opens up, your heart and your mind,
mm,
um to then sort of, then you can take the next step, which is like, okay, well, how can you get yourself out of it?
yeah,
um i I think for me, like, um just going from experience, I mean, like, the only person that can help is yourself. And, um you know uh it's that ownership and accountability as well. Like, we don't often like to hear those two words,
mm,
ownership and accountability.
yeah,
um because for us, it's easier, for the other person to do all the hard work. It's easier for, like, the other person to make the effort, and easier to blame someone else.
yeah,
But it um like, and I notice, a lot of people in that, in a rut, would be quick to blame other people
mm,
for the reason why they're in it. I think the first step is to take that accountability, that
yeah,
it might not be their fault.
yeah,
It might be your fault.
yeah.
Um,
Like, did you have a
but yeah,
participate in that situation? And you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. Like, if you have that mindset, then like you're the one that's keeping yourself in that rut.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in that, like, no matter how many times someone else will try and help you, you won't learn because you haven't taken that ownership.
Mm,
That, the reason why you're in a rut, it could be, your is because of yourself.
yeah.
um but yeah, like, for me, I find that once you start taking that ownership and accountability, um you know you then sort of, um start doing like the hard work.
Mm,
And I think that's another reason why people don't like to, um that like to take accountability, is because they know that it's going to be hard work for them to
yeah.
get themselves out.
Yeah.
So it's easier to blame somebody else, because then it's like, well, I don't have control of my situation because it's their fault.
Mm,
um yeah, I think, like, that would be the first step.
yeah.
Is yeah, taking ownership.
Mm.
What about you?
And I agree with you too, cuz honestly, because like I said, the only person stopping you from getting what you want or doing what you want to do at the end of the day is yourself.
Mm,
Like if you're
yeah,
choosing not to move, then of course you're gonna stay stuck. Like of course you're gonna stay in that sort of mindset and um, not go anywhere because you're not moving. You're not, being
mm,
proactive. You're not being, like you said, taking ownership or being accountable. You're just waiting. So I think sometimes you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable
yeah,
in order for you to get to happiness, because giving someone else the responsibility of making you happy is automatically like a failure. Like it's gonna fail because you're relying on someone else to give you something that only you can really give yourself. Like I think
yeah,
it's no one else's responsibility to make you happy and do all this stuff for you when you're not doing anything for yourself.
yeah.
So I 100% agree. I feel slack because I know it's a lot easier. It's easier said than done.
Hmm.
But I think, like you said, the first step would be to take ownership. But the second you do that, it will fall into place. Sort of. It might not be super, dramatic and a massive change, but I think those little baby steps eventually get you to where you want to go.
Yeah,
And then you just keep ticking off all those, accomplishments and all of those goals off your list because you're still gradually going somewhere rather than staying stuck.
yeah. Um, I think like yeah, definitely easier said than done.
Mm.
But at the same time, I also think that like I think we make it harder.
Hmm.
We make the situation harder
Yeah.
for than it actually is.
Mm.
Like like there are like if sometimes if you take a outside perspective, like look outside the box
Mm.
sort of thing, sometimes you'll find that it's just a quick win that you can just like there's something inside you that you need to change and that will open up a lot of doors for you.
Hmm.
But I think a lot of us get so buried into it's too hard.
Mm.
I can't do it, and you just sort of fall into that that belief that you just don't. You're restricting yourself from seeing anything, any um any way out.
Yeah.
Like you've turned your own lights off, sort of
Yeah.
thing. Um, but like why ownership and accountability is so important is because you have you need to do that hard work.
Mm.
Like you have to go through that
Yeah.
yourself, because it's the process of learning how to solve those problems. If you do it yourself and not rely on anybody
Mm.
else, that makes you grow.
Yeah.
Like, and you're also not relying on other people because like relying on other people is always going to result in
Yeah.
disappointment, always.
Absolutely.
But like if you figure out how to do it on your own, um how to solve that problem on your own, like just the you're unstoppable
Hmm.
after that. Like what else can get to you? You figured out how, from a terrible situation, you've managed to crawl out of that hole on your own,
Yeah.
um because you've sort of opened up your mind to figure out how to problem
Mm.
solve. I think we underestimate our own abilities, and I see too many of us islanders saying, "Oh, I'm too dumb, I'm too broke,
Hmm.
um, and I'm weak."
It's too late
What
for
else?
me. Hmm.
Yeah, it's
Too
too late for
old.
me. I hate
Hmm.
myself. Um, there's just so many of those words that we keep speaking to ourselves, or we keep saying to ourselves that we end up believing it.
Yeah.
Like, and that's not any words that someone else has told you. That's you saying that to yourself,
Hmm.
and it's just sort of stuck in your mind that now it's like you're just living day by day, doing the same thing over and over
Yeah.
again. You know, like you said, giving advice to someone else. I think you can lead what's the saying? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, And for anybody in a rut, I think we all got to realize that um the only thing that we have 100% control of is ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like only you can
Um
control you and your emotions and what you want to do.
yeah.
So when you're ready
Yeah.
to do it, just do it, man. I tell you.
Yeah. And like Mary said, like what you said, you got to get out of your comfort zone. Like
Yeah.
that's where the answer to your problems is
Yeah.
outside of your comfort zone.
Mm.
Um if you're wondering, like, whether, how you can get out of it, that's where you start, where you're most scared.
Yeah.
I also heard, I've had this quote for years now, and
Mm.
also a quote that I read when I was in a rut, and it helped me put things in perspective. I don't know who it's by, but it's pain is inevitable, suffering is a choice.
Ooh, I
Pain
like
is
that one.
inevitable, suffering is a choice. And I 100%
It's
believe that.
true. It's so true. I like that one because
Yeah. Um, and I think when I when I read that, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people probably thinking that now. When I read it, I was like, "You don't know."
you haven't been through what I've been through.
I know you don't know what, like, what I'm suffering.
Yeah.
But then, like, when you actually, and that's like, it goes back to perspective. When you
Mhm.
when you're open minded about things, and you actually really sort of read that again and again and again until you get it, you
Yeah.
realize it really is a choice. Like, um there's some people where I've seen, that they think that they can't, they're in a situation and they think that nothing good is coming their way.
Yeah.
um and sometimes it's just as simple as, like, go to work every day so that you can
Hmm.
get that consistent money. Or um you've got a lot of health problems, well, you've got a lot of, you're going through depression, but to you a solution is to drink alcohol,
Mm.
get pissed every day so that you don't have to face it.
Yeah.
The answer is right there. You got to face it. You got to
Mm.
face whatever it is that's holding you back.
Yeah.
Whether it's by counseling, like, there's nothing wrong with counseling. um
Hmm.
and, like, actually open up to someone. Let them help you. Like, a lot of times, people are so depressed, but then when someone tries to help them and they don't like the advice that they're given, they're like, "Oh, nah, don't worry about it." And then,
Mm.
like, they'll only pick and choose what kind of
Yeah.
advice that they take.
Yeah.
um yeah, like, that's where, like, that again is a choice.
Mm.
But yeah, that's all I have. I think that there's a lot, like, we could go into,
I
especially,
can
like,
always do like a part two too, because there is it's
yeah.
like massive topic and it happens every day. And like you said, we have family members and friends and yeah, but reach out, man. I think that's like once you do get out of that rut, well, not once you get out of it, but if you like are ready to reach out to someone
Yeah.
who can sort of give you that push.
Yeah. Oh, and
You'll
that
just
was another thing. Like, don't shit on people for being positive.
a lot of people do that, and I'm just like,
Mm.
what's the problem?
I think, like, when you're triggered by something, it's usually always something that you're projecting.
Hmm.
You're triggered by something that you're triggered by.
Yeah.
Or, like, that you do, sort of thing.
Yeah.
You get, and I think a lot of people who, and like, I was the same. Like, when you're in a rut, the last thing you want to hear is, "Oh, think positive," But
Mm.
sometimes, like I said, it's as simple as that. It's as simple as just switching your perspective, be more, grateful, be
Yeah.
more positive, be more, and it like it has been scientifically proven that it opens up neurons in your brain that, then you can sort of um, start attracting a lot more positivity into your life.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, I really wanted this to be a live and interactive, but I've been checking and we have no one in the in the live.
That's cool. We have
But I
us.
really did want to hear other people's like thoughts and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's all right. They'll probably
But
comment
yeah,
it or send messages, and that's cool.
yeah. So for all our listeners or viewers, just drop a comment, follow us on Instagram. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. I haven't tried out Twitch yet, but those are the and YouTube, Spotify. So yeah, drop a comment. Whatever your thoughts are on on any of these topics. Actually, we'd love to hear it.
I would.
But yeah, we'll try and do the same next episode,
Yeah.
and hopefully we'll have maybe one person at least.
That's cool.
Nah,
We have each other.
I'll like, and yeah, like it's an open forum. I'm happy if somebody even jumps in and sort of like, you're full of shit. I'm happy to take that one as well.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. But it was, man, we haven't recorded in how many months?
I honestly can't even remember because, like, I remember us doing a quick little thing for another one of our fellow podcasts, that we follow and stuff. But I honestly can't remember before that. I was like, when was it?
Yeah, I think it was our Christmas special. That was
Yeah,
the last one.
crazy.
Yeah.
And it's
And
already
so
made.
this is our so this is our first episode together in 2022. But yeah, man, we have like so much going on this year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like probably no coincidence. We're both our birthdays are on the 22nd, so this year has been we were saying last year, next year is gonna be our year.
Yeah.
And it definitely has. We've been busy as
Yes, man. I don't know how else to describe the busyness. But yeah,
yeah.
22.
But but yeah, so there's another reason why we're on what do you call it, Riverside.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Did you want to add anything else?
I'm good, thanks, Kaz. I just had a great time recording. It's been too long.
Yeah, it really has. And it's so good to hear from you again as well.
It's so good to see you. I'm just like, oh, my cousin.
All right, guys. Follow us, Indie Faith Podcast, on all platforms we just mentioned. See you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.